Have you ever bought a business and immediately thought, what did we just do?
A week before I had a full plate of events, all of our pops melted. It was horrible. It was so bad. Everything was shut down for winter. We opened it up, we cleaned it up, we turned everything on, we loaded up with pops. We had everything ready to go for the new season. I forgot to turn my alarm monitor on. The freezers turned off and we didn't know for like a week. And then we went to get in the truck to get something and it smelled and we were like, what happened? And we look inside the freezer and it was just gross.
Today I'm joined by Tamar Brown, owner of Frio's Gourmet Pops franchise. She went from doubt and imposter syndrome to building momentum in year 3, and this episode is a real look at what that transition actually felt like. Welcome back to another episode of How I Franchise This. Today I am joined by Tamar Brown, who is a fellow Minnesotan, so she already has a special place in my heart. Tamar, thank you so much for joining the podcast and for coming on to share your story. Why don't we start with a quick intro and, what business you're an owner of?
Hi, yes, thanks for having me. I own a Frio's Gourmet Pops franchise, and it is a mobile business, so it's a dessert truck, and that's it. I have 2 territories right now. I just finished my 2nd year, and I'm starting my 3rd year right now. Actually, in February is my beginning of my 3rd year.
So I gotta ask, so you're in Minnesota where it's cold 6 months out of the year. How did you land on a gourmet, pops, frozen pops concept?
First of all, everybody eats ice cream. Don't tell me you don't eat ice cream in the winter. Everybody eats ice cream all the time. And that is definitely an uphill battle here, is getting people to realize that it's not just in the summertime. But Frio's is special because it's not like a popsicle, like what you think of as a popsicle. It's not just like a flavored water on a stick kind of thing. I mean, our bars are so good and gourmet, and like key lime pie is one of my favorite flavors, and it's just like pure decadence, or caramel cheesecake, and those are good all year round. My favorite flavor is actually s'mores, and it's got a graham cracker center and marshmallows, and I have one case that's just for me. That's not for sale.
You're making me hungry.
I know. So, but like for instance, hockey is big here. So I'm trying to get into the hockey stadiums as in their concession stands and sell wholesale through there. So that's helping for winter, and all those kids come off the ice and they're ready for a treat. And it's been a big hit, actually. So yes, it's cold here, but people like treats all year round.
That is a great idea. I think I grew up in Red Wing, about an hour or so south of where Tamara's from or is based. And like the hockey concession stands are always packed, and basketball concession and basketball tournaments. That's a great idea. But before we go more into Frio's, what was, I guess, life like for you before franchising, before owning this specific business? Have you always been entrepreneurial? Like, walk me back even to like high school. Like, did you have influence from your parents, from classmates, from what was it that kind of set you on this path?
I've always been entrepreneurial. I love everything. I was like, can I sell that? I wonder if I could sell that. Could I make money doing that? I've always asked those kind of questions. My mom owned a business, like a 1-hour photo lab when I was really little. So I, in preschool, I would be hanging out in the back of the photo lab, and I'd get to go help the customers and do things like that as I got older. But I've always been entrepreneurial. Right before this, I was working as a graphic and web designer, just on my own, self-employed. I had several clients that I just worked with continuously. So I wasn't freelance in the sense that I was going out there and trying to find all these one-off jobs. I had set clients that I worked with. And I'd been doing that for almost 10 years. And I just was kind of really sick of it and didn't want to do it anymore. I loved my clients. I just was kind of sick of being on somebody else's schedule. I have an emergency, or I have to do this, and try to get things done in their timeline. And I was deciding to kind of pull back from that. And I had already decided to kind of end that career path and was tapering off my client work. And my husband is very entrepreneurial also. And he has a job for a software company that supports our family. But he, several years ago, had been wanting to buy his own business just as like a side hustle. And he ended up buying a liquor store.
Huh.
And we learned a lot from that it was not the right time and not the right business for us. It ended up being like another full-time job for him. And so he was working 2 full-time jobs. And it wasn't something I could really help with because our kids were too young. And so I was still running them all over the place. So we got out of that. I think we had that for a year, maybe tops. And we were like, nope, this isn't the right fit for us. And so he's looked ever since then. For years, he's been looking. He keeps his eye out on businesses and business opportunities. And he found Frio's and was like, this sounds fun. And we're like, my brother describes us now as carnival folk or carnies. Like he's like he doesn't quite understand what we do. But we like going to festivals and art fairs, and like doing events is like fun. We go to them anyways as as customers.
Yeah.
And so now we have the truck there and we can still go walk around, and our kids also like doing that stuff with us. And so we wanted a business that was a good family business that our now teenagers could be a part of, and it would be a way to spend time together, but also to teach them about entrepreneurship and business and all of that. And kids today are so scheduled. I don't even know how they have time to have a job because they're like, I have soccer, I have theater, I have band practice, and we have a game and I have to go and be in pep band. There's so many things that you can't have a regularly scheduled job. So this way it's flexible. I could pick whichever kid isn't somewhere else to come and work with me. And I have my staff right there.
I love a few things you said, but especially around like finding a business that you could get your family involved in. And you'd said something early for you as you were being exposed to what life could look like, what a career could look like, what business ownership could look like. It started with some of that experience you had with your mom. And I've interviewed hundreds of people. I've met hundreds of founders, and I've talked to all these different backgrounds and walks of life. And there's a theme. Typically, it's not always the facts, but there's a theme that someone early in an individual's life influenced or mentored and showed that there was another path outside of like just get good grades in high school to then get into a good college to then go get a Fortune 500 job, do that for 40 years and die. Like there's a path beyond that, but it started with someone giving that initial spark or permission almost of like, hey, this is also out here. And so it's amazing that you're getting to do that for yours and your husband's kids. And then something else you said also is relevant to a conversation I had recently, and it was life has gotten so competitive but also structured, and there isn't space to be creative or entrepreneurial anymore, or space to go do these types of things. And so the fact that you guys again get to spend quality time as a family, but also create that space for your children to see, hey, look at what we're building as a family, this business and customers and marketing and going to an event and setting up and tearing down, all that stuff. There's so much valuable education that's happening at the same time, even though it might feel like fun in many cases as well.
Absolutely. And I think it's also interesting to see like the kids' different personalities come through, and you could see how other people would be like. I end up working mostly with my oldest, who is 17, and he is very motivated by money, and he is very entrepreneurial. He's been selling buttons and magnets and all sorts of stuff since elementary school. So before all of this, and before I was a graphic designer, I was a professional actor. And that's what I went to school for. And I moved to LA and pursued that. And then once I had kids, I was like, okay, I'm done. And I wanted to move to Minnesota. So that's what we did. But my oldest is now on that same path, and he wants to be a comedian and professional actor. And he's very good. And so he's already thinking, okay, so after I graduate and move to LA, can you buy me a Frio's? And then I can run it in LA. And that's what I'm going to do. And that's what it's like I had thought when I was in LA, I had actually considered buying a hot dog cart. And I had said to my then boyfriend, now husband, I said, what if I bought a hot dog cart and I could just go like stop and like all the like auditions happen in these like central hubs. Like there's several central hubs, and then there's like maybe 20 auditions going on at once. And I was like, I can just park the hot dog cart outside of these buildings where people are auditioning. So then when they're coming in and out all day long, I've got people coming and can buy these hot dogs. And he was like, that's a great idea. Let's do it. I'll pay for it and you do it. And I ended up finding another job. And so then that never happened. But I kind of always think back to that would have been a perfect thing when you're trying to pursue something, just something low stakes like that you can make your own hours, and the consequences of not working that day means you might not make $1,000 that day or whatever. And you making the decision on if that's worth it and weighing the pros and cons. And I think that's really important to show my son. I'm not telling him he has to have a backup career. He just has to have a way to support himself while pursuing his dreams. And so I think entrepreneurship is a great way to do that.
Yeah, it grows and stretches you in such a way that the skills apply to anything. It doesn't have to be an option beyond acting, like you said. I bet he even probably learns more about himself as an actor via doing these other problem solving and having to put yourself in uncomfortable situations or facing challenges, et cetera. I mean, it's this arena that, again, the growth and the upside as an individual is almost limitless if you're willing to put in the work and take the chance. I love that. That's so cool that he's going to do that and that you're going to do that with.
Well, he's got a long way to go. He's still in high school, but yeah. But it's and just even meeting people and networking and getting out there that way, and him seeing me, like when we go to an event, I will take like our little like rack cards that we have like with all of our information, and I'll go visit all of the other booths and see if they have events or something where we can partner, or if they're maybe a nonprofit and they want to do a fundraiser where we can help them. And so it's just about not being afraid to put yourself out there and go talk to people and make contacts and network with other people. So I think that's a really important. I think so many people are like afraid, especially like teenagers, afraid to like call people on the phone or like talk to somebody. Well, what am I going to say? How do I say it? And you just have to do it. You just have to learn how to go out there and do it. So this is a great opportunity for that.
That's really cool. This is what I have an 8-month-old, and my aspirations are to teach him and future family same thing. So glad to see that you guys are doing it and they enjoy it, and they're getting that experience. When you and your husband were looking at Frios, I mean, was it Frios or bust, or were you guys looking at other franchise concepts or considering doing things on your own from scratch? Or, I mean, walk me through that thought process.
Well, my husband had experience in the past with a major sandwich franchise. I don't know if I'm allowed to say what it is, but he had worked when he was in college, and then after college, he was the general manager for multiple sandwich shop locations for franchise. And so that always kind of stuck with him about how much support they got from their corporation. And just really liking that structure and resources available to them as a business owner. And so that stuck with him. And so he had been looking at that, and we had done the liquor store, and that wasn't our thing. And he's the kind of person who could just do any business. He just wants to know if it's going to make money, and then he could make it go. I am not that person. If I don't like something, I don't want to do it. It's not my personality. I'm like, that sounds horrible. Or I don't want to sell cleaning products. Like, that's not me. I don't want to just sell something. I want to have fun. I like to be creative, and I'm not going to do something I don't like. I'm not going to be motivated. I'm not motivated by that. So he would throw different things out there, and he had said he had seen Frios, and he was like, how about gourmet popsicles? And I was like, well, that sounds good. And we had never heard of it. We don't have any. We were the first Frios in Minnesota. We didn't have, the closest one was Madison, Wisconsin. And then after that, there was like nothing close. And Madison's 4 hours away. So it wasn't like we could just pop over there to try them. So he contacted them, because that was my first question. Are they good? It has to be good. I don't want to sell something. Even now, if I don't like a flavor myself, I don't put it on my truck, because I'm just not going to want to put it on the menu because people are going to ask me and I'm not going to be able to say, oh, it's so good. I guarantee that. um, so anyhow, we got the popsicles in the mail. They sent us like a big sampler box and we all sat around and we cut them all up so we could all try all the different flavors. And they were so good. I mean, that just right there, it sold us. And we had a family discussion about it. Like, this is going to change things. It might mean that like mom and dad can't both come to your soccer game. Like, one of us might be with the truck and one of us can come to your game. Or it might mean we can't go, on a summer vacation or on spring break because those are going to be busier times, potentially. And the kids were excited. They thought it sounded fun and cool. I don't know that they would all say that now. It's definitely, I think, there's been times where it's had to cramp their style a little bit, like where we couldn't do something. But I think overall they all like it. They all definitely like the pops. Their friends come over and they all hop in the truck and pick out flavors. It's very hard to keep track of inventory. But they, so we were kind of sold once we tried them. We were still talking about it, and we hadn't made a decision. And then we kind of, Frio's was in the about to like up all of their pricing. Like, they were at a turning point with the number of franchisees they had, and they were about to change all of their pricing. And one of the things that drew us to it was that it was kind of a low entry and low risk investment. So it was like now or never. Like, if we're going to do it, we got to do it now, because then the price is going to bump up and then we're not so sure if we want to do it. So we just kind of jumped in, and then the panic set in. So it's like, wait, what did we just do? But we were like, they taste good. Let's do it. And it was not very much more, on my part at least, it wasn't much more thought out than that. So
do you remember where your husband first saw it? Was it like on Instagram or through a email newsletter, or,
I asked him last night, and he was not 100% sure, because he was always looking at different business broker websites and listings and things like that. And he thinks he remembers it being an ad that he saw, and then he went and started reading about the company and their opportunities.
Interesting.
Very cool. It wasn't, it was just kind of him skimming the internet.
It's one thing you said too, I want to draw attention to, is like your husband was like, hey, if it can make money, I'll figure it out, versus you were like, hey, I have to like actually like it and believe in the product. And people get surprised by this, but I mean, we talked to, again, thousands of people looking to buy businesses at Franzi, what we're doing here. And I knew this going into it, but I'm surprised how many people come to us and they think, well, just show me the business that makes the most money. Like, isn't that what everyone wants? I'm like, no, that is not what everyone wants. Everyone's as much as we're all very similar as human beings, we are all very unique and different in our own way. And what motivates me might not motivate you. And what is a risk to me, or, my risk tolerance is different than yours. And my passions and hobbies are different. All these factors matter. And I think when you mentioned the liquor store examples, like a liquor store could be a phenomenal business for the right fit and the right person. But if for you and your husband, it didn't work from a schedule perspective, or a location, or a skill set, or a risk, or all these things matter. And that's what I think people really need to focus on. If you are going to decide to take entrepreneurial risk and be a business owner, be thoughtful about all of your whys, not just the immediate, like, oh, I got to make money, or this is like for a family member, or this is because I'm good at it. Like, really think about the whole part of that decision-making process. We look at it as kind of four things. It's like, operationally, what are you good at? Even if you're not running the business full time, you need to know enough or be able to run it in the event someone calls out or you have to jump in. What is your risk tolerance? Are you looking at like Chick-fil-A level of risk, where like it's like sure thing, but you're buying yourself a job? Or are you comfortable joining an emerging concept or brand that might still have a lot to figure out? So risk tolerance. Financial readiness. Is this a bet the whole house and burn the boats and this has to work decision? Or is this a thoughtful, kind of more, maybe not passive, but more, diversified investment? And where are you from that perspective? And the last one is, hobbies and interests and goals. Like, what are you trying to accomplish? Like, what's your why here?
Right. Right.
And we really try to help people dial in those 4 things, because without the fit, I think the chance of success changes pretty drastically if you don't have the right fit. When you guys, it sounds like you and your husband complement each other really well. He was more like, "Hey, we gotta make money," maybe more analytical. You are the more, like, "This has to feel right. The product has to be something I believe in," which complements, I think really well. Was there a moment you guys looked at each other and like, "We can totally see ourselves doing this"? Was it when you're sitting around the table trying them? Was that the moment, or when was the moment that you guys said, "We're doing this"?
Yeah, probably. I mean, we didn't quite decide yet. But it's definitely not replacing our income. Like my husband has a great job with great benefits and that supports our family. And we're not so risk tolerant that we're going to drop that. But and also his job changed. If originally we were going to be doing a lot more together. And then right after we purchased, his job in the company he switched to a different department where he doesn't have as much flexible time. So now it's almost 100% me. I mean, he helps all the time. He does a lot of stuff and helps at the events and weekends and things like that. But the day to day, it's my business. Sorry, what was your original question?
Yeah, no, it was yeah, I forget. The question was, at what moment did you guys you realize like, "Hey, this is it. We're 100% doing this"?
But this is the kind of thing we could see ourselves doing this when he retires. Like we could see ourselves, it being kind of a fun going to weekend events and things like that, or going to the state fair or county fairs and things like that.
Mm.
Although now that I'm in it, I think it's still a lot of work. It's not just showing up at events. So I don't know that we would do it in retirement. I think we still would want to travel more, but maybe we have multiple vans and we have staff doing it for us. I don't know. Although my father-in-law, who's retired, he's like ready for us to buy a truck for him and he could do it down in Indiana. Like he's like, "This is fun. You just tell me when you have an event and I'll come on up and I'll help with it." So I think that's funny. I think there is an appeal for doing it down the road. As an older person, and it's a way to keep active and social and meeting people, but it is also a lot of work.
I've noticed too is there's this like almost J curve where you start out, it's a little exciting at the top of, like at the tip of the J, and then you get into, you're like, "Oh my gosh, this is so much work. This is harder than I thought. It's more hours." And then you start to power through and like, "Let's add a second truck, a third truck." And you kind of come out of this thing and you have systems now and you have people, you have a second line of defense and a third line of defense. And I kind of call it's the "I do it, we do it, they do it,"
Yeah.
curve that you're on. Like right now, it's like you're doing it all. Like it's all tomorrow, family, etc. Then it's you hire staff eventually. Then it's they, because you have so much, volume now and multiple trucks. And that's what I like about entrepreneurship and franchising in general is you can kind of decide how far you want to go depending on risk, capital, work, etc. And this opportunity of having your father-in-law is real.
Yeah, I'm hoping this summer is where I start feeling some of that. I know some of the other franchisees in Texas said that like their day to day now, they don't have to do a lot. Like people just come to them and they just book their calendar and show up. They order the pops and they show up and sell pops. So I really hope this summer I'll start seeing some of that. I'm sure not fully because it's only going to be my third year. But I definitely saw it last year. And our first year, I like to kind of just say wasn't real or wasn't a real year. That was a very difficult year for me personally. And I put very little effort in. I did almost nothing. And also it was tough because we weren't just trying to start a business, but we were raising brand awareness. Because there was no Frios here. Nobody had ever heard of it or knew what it was. But then this last year, even with the little amount of work I did in the first year, I had people coming back to me in year two and people recognizing us from other events or seeing us. "Oh yeah, I had you at the hockey dome," or "I had you guys at Lumberjack Days," or whatever. They would remember us and come back and then start booking us for their events. So I definitely saw that repeat business in year two. So I hope that in year three, it's, fivefold or tenfold.
all this stuff compounds. I think you definitely will see that, and I'm hoping that's the case. When I'm back up in Minnesota, I'll have to try to figure out is there like an Instagram where I can see which events you guys are at, or how do people find you? I guess if they want to track where you
Yes,
are locally.
we have Instagram, we have Facebook. You could just go to our website and see where we're at. I try to post where we're going to be during the day.
That's awesome. I know a lot of the like burger food trucks. They'll have like the Angry Line Cook or some of the famous kind of burger smash burger food trucks. They'll be like, "Oh, we're at this brewery, we're at this thing." They have like a weekly schedule. And is it similar to that, where you can go to the site and see where you're going to be?
I haven't been as good about doing that yet, but I hope this year I will be. Is
Okay.
like putting out because sometimes it's not even events that anybody can go to, right? It's like a private thing, or I'm at a corporation for an employee
Oh,
appreciation or something like that. But if I'm going to be, I go to I have a county park here that has like a big swim hole and a huge playground. And so I go there during the summer a lot and hang out there for the day if I don't have an event booked. And then but if I'm going to be at like a community festival or a fair or an art show, I always post that and people will see that. Or we have like a monthly flea market that I go to sometimes. And so I'll put that on there. But I'd like to do it more in advance this year so people can go on like a Monday and see, oh, this is where they're going to be all week.
very cool.
So
We'll
I'm
pop
not-
back
I
in,
haven't
but I'll just
done that
text
yet.
you or email you and Bobby.
Yes.
Where are you guys going to be?
Yes. And we do deliveries. So you could just call me and say, hey, bring me some popsicles to my hotel and we'll just come by and do a drop off for you.
That's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna make note of this. All right. So you mentioned the first like year or so, like, hey, a little slow start, you had some personal stuff going on, but then as you got into the franchise system and you like really started getting into the rhythm, was there anything that surprised you about being a part of a franchise that you wouldn't have expected going into it?
Yeah. So the first year my sister passed away like weeks before we purchased the franchise.
Mm.
I probably should not have been making decisions. Like I was not in a good headspace. And then we bought the franchise and we were kind of like, what did we just do? And then the truck arrived and sat in our driveway. And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? And I just I jumped into the franchise has two monthly two calls a month. Off season, I guess it's just once a month, but they'll have like a call every month and one of them is more like okay, here's what's going on. Here's our flavors this month. Here's some promotions. Here's who's been really great. Here's who's had successes. Then there's another one that's often like a round table. Like, hey, we're going to talk to this franchisee in Charlotte or wherever that it just did this great event and this is how they got it, or this is a great partnership they just did. And let's talk to them about how they did this so you can replicate it. So I just really just threw myself into those and listening and taking notes. But I was still a little gun shy and I had booked a few events like via like kids stuff, like my kids' soccer tournaments. I just would call and say, hey, do you want us to bring this? Or I would go give free popsicles to people that I knew. So I just kind of very slowly, I mean, Frio's had like a whole grand opening plan. I didn't do any of it. I looked at it. I just didn't have it in me. But my turning point came when, in February, which was exactly 1 year from when we purchased, and we went to their franchise conference, and that was amazing. So then suddenly, instead of just seeing people on Zoom and not really talking to them face to face, I met them all.
Mm.
And the corporate culture of Frio's is so awesome. Like it's really just so welcoming and so open to sharing and helping each other. And hey, this worked for me. Maybe this will work for you, or brainstorming with each other and just always about helping each other. And they talk about the Frio's family and it really, really is like, that's not just lip service. And so I made a ton of friends and had great contacts with people. And then that was just a turning point. I just got really energized and I was like, I can do this. Like, I think also in the first year too, I felt like I had a little bit of like the imposter syndrome and things like that.
Mhm.
And Like I've never done this, and now my husband's too busy working, so it's literally just me. What am I doing here? Um, but that also, I was also super protective. Like if he moved something in the truck, I'd be like, "What? Don't move that. What? This goes here. This is how we do it." Um, and so it's my business. It's how I want things done is how things happen. But the franchise conference was the big turning point for me. And I think what surprised me happily, pleasantly, was that Frio's just does so much. I don't know if this is even true with all franchises, but the level of support, like, of course I can submit a help ticket and all of that. But if I'm in like an emergency, I can just text like the top brass and be like, "Oh my God, what happened? This just happened. What should I do?" If I'm panicking or if something happens. We had all of our, we had right at the beginning of our second season, like a week before I had full plate of events, all of our pops melted. We had a freezer. It was horrible. It was so bad. It smelled so bad. We had a freezer issue and I had messed up and I hadn't turned my temperature alarm monitor on after the winter. Like we had cleaned out, everything was shut down for winter. We opened it up, we cleaned it up, we turned everything on, we loaded up with pops, we had everything ready to go for the new season. I forgot to turn my alarm monitor on. And something triggered, like the GCFI triggered on the plug, the freezers turned off, and we didn't know for like a week. And then we went to get in the truck to get something and it smelled and we were like, what happened? And we look inside the freezer and it was just gross. It was so gross. And we lost our entire inventory. And I was panicking because we can only order pops on the weekend. Like we order Friday through Sunday and then it takes like 10 days to get our order. So there's a very specific schedule. And I just called and I was like, I have 5 events next week. And I said, I don't know what to do. I have nothing. And I was thinking, okay, maybe I'll drive down to Madison and I'll get whatever I can from the Frios down there, and that's the other thing. Like she's happy to help. Like if she has extra cases, I'll just buy them off of her. Like, sure, come down. This is what I have. This is my extras that you can have this week. So that, helpful family thing is really great. But Frio's totally was like, okay, we got you. And they said, send us your list. And I put in an order of like 40 cases and they sent them to me and I got them that weekend and I was ready to go. So, I mean, it was like heart stopping when that happened, but they will just jump in and let's do this. And then
That's
just
incredible.
so just it's very family like. It's very all hands on deck. We're a team. Like, yes, they're corporate, we're our own business. We run things differently. That was interesting too about franchises is my model might be different than somebody in Texas or somebody in Nashville or wherever. Like we can run things how we want and they can run things how they want. I might not, well, I do school events, but I might not want to do school events or I might not want to do birthday parties and somebody else does do nothing but birthday parties. I can decide what works best for me and my schedule. In Texas, they can work year round. I basically don't do anything in November, December, January. November, December, I just rested. I didn't even look at anything having to do with my business. I was exhausted from the summer and I was getting ready for Christmas. So I was able to just say, okay, I'm done for right now. And then January came and I started picking up and started booking events for the summer and looking at wholesale and things like that. But I'm able to do that because it's my business and I could do it my way. But yet it is very much a team and I can go to corporate for help or say, hey, I would love to have a resource like X, or, is that something you can help me with? Or, hey, I created this marketing piece. Would you mind looking at it and giving me your feedback? Things like that. So the support I have is just unparalleled. I don't know how it is at other franchises, but I would say it's unparalleled. Like it's just so supportive.
Yeah, and that's what I think is one of the huge values of franchising in general is, let's say you and your husband were doing this on your own. You had to come up with the branding and figure out the truck and the configuration of the truck and then the flavors and then innovating on that. And then the supply chain to order those materials or inputs to make all these different flavors. And then I'm sure they have like a booking link and some technology, et cetera, there. And all these resources, I tell people, there's no wrong way to do this, but if your goal is to de-risk it, to have a group of peers, of business owners across the country that you can go to when things break down or you have an issue, or honestly, a thing that people overlook is when you feel like giving up as an individual, it's like going to the gym. You're your own worst enemy. You get in there and you're like, I don't know if I want to do this, or like you're in bed and you're thinking about going after you wake up and you're like, I don't know if I'm going to do this. And if no one's there to be like, come on, get up, let's go. It's easy to you kind of give up on yourself or give up on that moment. But when you have this group of other people pushing you and that you can learn from, I think it makes all the difference. And I tell people you're starting on, square four, 3 or 4 instead of square one. But it's still your business and you still have to run it and face these challenges, as you mentioned, but it makes the
I
hard
think
times
it's
a little bit easier.
not having a franchise too. Like if I was just doing it all on my own, you could also get like decision paralysis, like there's so many choices for everything. Like for everything, like, okay, you need a payment processor. There's a million choices and you have to research and figure out which one's the best one. Okay, I need a CRM. There's a million choices. What do I need? How am I going to use this? How do I know which one works best for me? So there's so much, it just cuts all of that down. I could post in our franchise Facebook group, okay, what do you guys use for XYZ? And I'll get like 3 different answers. I could just look at those 3 and decide which one I want, or it's something maybe that the franchise has already worked out a deal with a payment processor or whatever it is, and you can say, oh, okay, perfect. I'm just going to use that. It just cuts down decision making and research and all of that. Um, and I think the branding too for other people, like that's what I did, I was a graphic designer. So I'm super particular about how things look. And I love the Frio's branding. I'm a very colorful person and pink is my favorite color. I love our tie-dye. I think our loud truck suits my personality perfectly. So I love all of that. And the branding definitely was a strong check in the pro column for us. But even still, I'll get stuff that they've created and I'll still want to redo the whole thing because I want it to be my way. But then what's so great is that then I can share my flyer with the whole franchise and say, hey, whoever wants to use this, here you go. He made a whole set of sandwich boards, like different things to pull out of your sandwich board and swap out. And I said, hey, whoever wants to use this, here you go. And other people do the same thing. So it's about community over competition and just sharing what you've got.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And I like that. Yeah.
As you think about, it's like the first like year or two in most businesses, it's like you're kind of in survival mode, you're figuring things out. Have you started to feel like you've come, like you said, like that J curve, you're starting to come across this corner now where it's like, hey, we've got our bearings, we've got things tightened up a little bit. Is this like the big growth year in your eyes, or?
I think so. Yeah. I was just, so right now we're doing all of the booking for the summer for the events. So not like individuals calling us or things like that, but for like the fairs and festivals, those are all starting to book now for summer. And that some of that risk aversion was coming into play because some events can be really pricey. So there was a couple that were like $2,000 to you apply. And if they choose you, it's $2,000 to be a part of that festival or event. And for me in Minnesota, that's a lot riskier than for somebody in Texas because
Yeah.
we could have a cold snap. And if it is below 70 degrees, I do not sell popsicles. Nobody will buy one. If it's been like 80 all week and then suddenly it's 68, people will just walk by me like shivering, like, oh, it's too cold, And it just and we get cold snaps. Like it's the Midwest. The weather changes on a dime. So to spend $2,000 on an event and if it rains, I will not make that $2,000 back. So I definitely was having some anxiety this month about which one of these festivals I want to do. And yeah, there was one that I picked that is the biggest event if I get in, it'll be the biggest event we've done. It has over 100,000 attendees. It's a 3-day
Wow.
thing. And it costs $2,000. But I was like, it's our exact demographic, and it is like perfect for us. It's families, and it's arts and culture, and the location is great. So I was like, okay, that's a risk I'm willing to take, And then there was another one that was like a 2-day concert, and I was talking to some other franchisees, and my friend in Madison pointed out she doesn't have a lot of luck with drunk adults at night. And I was like, you know what, that's actually true. We've had that experience also. Drunk adults at night do not buy popsicles. So even though that event was 200,000 plus people, I was like, okay, I'm going to pass on that one. So I'm definitely looking at leveling up the things that we go to, spending a little more money on going to some of these bigger events. And I'm hoping that this year will be a lot more growth.
Does have you tried like Little League baseball tournaments, kind of like the hockey? Has that been? Does that
I
work
haven't
well?
I haven't done a lot of Little League. We've done some soccer stuff just because my daughter plays soccer, so that's like a natural fit. But it's hard. Some of the sports stuff gets hard because there's other ice cream vendors there too, or snow cones and things like that. And once they've got somebody, sometimes, yeah, they
Hard to
don't
get
care if
in.
you come. Well, they don't. So some places are more discerning than others. So some places will say, okay, we're not going to double up on vendors. There's going to be like one ice cream and that's it. And then maybe we'll have like mini donuts and other stuff, but we're not going to have 2 cold treat vendors. Those are great. That's the best because anybody who wants a cold treat, you get them as a client, as opposed to, oh, one kid wants a snow cone, one kid wants a popsicle, so you're splitting up the sale between 2 trucks. Other events, they don't care, and you show up and there's 5 different cold treat vendors. There's maybe 3 ice cream, 1 Hawaiian ice, 1 snow cone, and then gourmet popsicles. So those are harder. So the sports stuff usually ends up being, they don't care. You can come, you pay them a fee, pay them $100 and you could show up to the tournament, but there might be 3 other ice cream vendors there. And then it's not the greatest situation. So it just kind of depends. I've done like flag football, and that was good. I was the only vendor there, so it was great, Um, it depends on the event. So I haven't done Little League yet, but only because my kids play soccer.
Yeah. I'm trying to think like what you said, like the hockey, like atmosphere, like baseball, so like those day-long tournaments where everyone's got a lot of time to kill,
Yeah.
things to do. And then 2 that I got, this is my personal like business curiosity, 2 big ones, especially being a Minnesota native, is like, what's the process? Have you looked into the process of trying to get into the state fair? Or is that just like a 10-year, no chance?
It's like a very long waiting list, but also I don't think we have the infrastructure. Like I've heard that you can just go broke doing it, and also it can be very risky because they have. I mean, it's the biggest state fair in the country. It's
Mm.
humongous, and I mean, I would have to rent like a freezer truck just because I can't. It's not like I could leave my truck every day and go stock up. I don't have enough stock on my truck
Inventory.
to even sell for an hour at the fair. Like, I mean, probably an hour, but you know what I mean? It's like insane numbers. I'm not even close to wanting to be at the state fair. Like the thought of it overwhelms me. Yeah. And also some of those fairs, and this goes back to I can run my business how I want. Like my husband wanted me to do the county fair, but I'm like, that is 6 days, and it is from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. And it's going to be mostly me. Like, yes, my husband will come, and yes, my kids will come, but I'm still going to be there most of the time, and it's really exhausting. Um,
Mhm.
so, and I also get really nervous just because we've had the incident with the melted pops, leaving my truck somewhere overnight. Um, Even though it's plugged in and it should be fine, but what if it's not and I show up and everything's melted? Like I just get a little nervous with that.
Yeah.
So I like being able to come home, rest, restock, like reset my truck, and then go back out the next day. So I haven't even those bigger like the county fair isn't huge, but that's such a long thing. It's exhausting. Is it worth it to me? Or would I rather do 6 different events that week that are smaller that probably equal up to the same amount that I would make? That's kind of how
Yeah.
I look at things.
And then I was thinking about like other kind of like experiential like ice cream or like things like this. And I was thinking of Dippin' Dots for some reason. And like they always had such success at like malls and
Mhm.
sporting venues and like theme parks. Is there like a
So
mini like
we,
Frio's like push cart instead of the whole truck where you guys can go to venues
yeah,
like that and try it?
yep. There absolutely is. I have thought about doing malls. I haven't yet, more because of the scheduling standpoint. Um, because then you're locked in. You have to be there for like a mall. You have to be there during the mall hours. You don't have an
Mhm.
option of like being closed. Like I thought about doing Mall of America or something for
Yeah.
like the holidays. Um,
Mall of America would do so well, I think.
yeah, but again, so you're locked into their schedule and being there those really long hours. Only one of my kids drives, so I would have to definitely have staff to do that. And
Mm.
I'm not at a place where I want to deal with having to hire people. Um, and then but Dippin' Dots, it's funny that you say that because Dippin' Dots actually, we replaced Dippin' Dots at the hockey dome. And so they sold like Dippin' Dots sells like prepackaged little ice cream pouches. And um, I got ours in. And so they got rid of Dippin' Dots to put us in. And I mean, we're doing really great there. And she said the thing with Dippin' Dots is she's never seen an adult eat the Dippin' Dots. And she sees adults at the dome eating Frios all the time. So that's been really great. And I'm hoping to get some at the end of this hockey season to get some more concrete numbers from her that I could share with um, other domes and rinks that I could say, hey, you should get rid of those Dippin' Dots for us.
Yeah, those case studies go a long way and having proof like that. That's awesome. Very cool. Well, we talked a bit about like, all right, some kind of marketing stuff, growth techniques, and strategies. What are some of the non-financial benefits that you've received from being a franchise ownership that people don't always talk about?
I think just meeting all the people I get to meet, I really like that. I like okay, meeting interesting people, making friends and connections. That's huge for me. I really do feel like I have this network now of people across the country that I've connected with and can reach out to and talk to. Um, and just emotional support from them and from the company itself. So I think being a franchise and having that is an intangible that you can't replace. Like that has really been huge for me personally. Um, and really goes a long way, I think, in getting rid of that imposter syndrome, because, well, hey, if so and so can do it, I can do it. Like, oh,
Hmm.
they've been in doing this for years and I just gave them a great idea that they're going to try to implement, like that makes you feel really good. So, I think that part of being in a franchise is a great, a great benefit that you don't think about. Yeah, I would say that's the biggest. Just I think people would underestimate that level of support. It's not just like getting assets, for your social
Yeah.
media. It's just having people going through the same exact thing and the same barriers they're coming up against and roadblocks and finding ways to get over them together.
Yeah, it sounds like there's this element of like one camaraderie and like building this with other people. You're not alone. You're not on an island doing it, but also that fulfillment that comes with like it's almost like if you're doing a crossword puzzle and it's like with a group of people and you get one right and it feels good to be the person that like got the answer. There's this level of fulfillment of problem solving with a group where
Hmm.
I don't know, you get to give back, you're also getting value from the group and one person isn't necessarily better than the others. It's just you're figuring things out together and there's no ego really. Everyone's kind of checking that at the door and you're getting to be a part of this thing that is bigger than yourself. Um,
Absolutely. And just being able I get a lot out of being able to share with other people. So whether it's a design I made for marketing materials that I'm giving and other people like and are using, that always feels good. But also with my previous job, with my clients, I put a lot of systems in place for people. And so helping people troubleshoot systems or putting systems in place for my own business that are working, um, and sharing that with others, that gives me a lot of like personal joy and fulfillment.
No. That's what I like about the franchise system too. Is like all these different backgrounds come together to give a software engineer. You've got a graphic
Mhm.
designer. You've got a ex-military, man or woman,
Mhm.
and it's like all of these skills and past experiences matter in some form or fashion in what's being built. And it's cool that like again, all these different personalities and walks of life can come together over popsicles in this case, and like do cool
Yep.
stuff together and improve each other's businesses through these own unique, backgrounds and skill sets that each of you have. Um, One thing I was curious about is you look back on, you're coming into year 3 or your 3 years-ish in, and at the time it felt like a very like, "Hey, timing feels right, the price is gonna go up, my husband's into this, the popsicles are amazing, they're different, they're unique, we're gonna do this." But looking back on it, how important do you think was the alignment that the brand's values and Frio's, culture, aligning with your own? How important do you think that is, and I guess aligned with your overall satisfaction?
I think at the time I didn't know that, like, to even think about that.
Mhm.
I mean, we had meetings with a couple of the people at Frio's just over Zoom. And so, we heard, oh yeah, we like to give back to the community. Okay, yeah. I mean, it was just like a lot. Yeah, we're a Frio's family. Okay, whatever. I mean, you can say whatever. Who knows how things really are? And it didn't even occur to me to ask more about culture or any of those questions. But being in it now, it's been a huge part of my satisfaction because especially how I was in year 1 and just so like kind of regretting like, oh my God, what did we do? What did I get myself into? Is this really what I want to do?
Mhm.
The culture is what brought me around to really just saying, this is awesome. Like, this is so fun. And like, this is great. This is a great family side hustle, like we're just going to do this and have fun and see what happens and grow it. And hey, if it pays for somebody to go to college, that's a bonus and that's great, you know?
Mhm.
Um, so the culture definitely brought me around and made me really invested me in it and has given me good root system for my place in this business. I would say I did not know any of that prior when we were making our decision. Um so I definitely think for other people looking at building or opening a franchise in any sector, you should ask about culture. You should ask about how communicative people are, and how much other franchisees talk to each other, because we talk to each other all the time. We have a weekly Zoom call. It's actually twice a week. That's supposed to be it's supposed to be help for CRM users and like how we're setting things up because we all just switched to this new CRM, and it ends up being people getting on there and just shooting the shit. And it ends up being it's great. I get on it. I usually get on it once a week or once every other week, but I could say, "Oh my God, what I." It almost never has anything to do with the CRM. It is almost always people, just different owners talking to each other, and it's been wonderful. So, and then we have a very active franchise, like a Facebook group and chat. So I think that is really important. So I think
Mhm.
people should ask that question, how much are you interacting with the other franchisees? And I think everybody should go to their franchise conference. I assume all franchises have one. And I think that's very important to meet people face to face. It makes a big difference.
Mhm. I wanna get in as we start to wrap up, I wanna get into some kind of reflection and advice-focused questions for those listening, 'cause a lot of people listening to the podcast are either franchisees themselves or they're exploring getting into business ownership. So for those listening, what do you think people commonly misunderstand about franchising in general?
Um, Well, are you talking about for people who want to be a franchise owner or for people out? Like right now, my biggest problem is people hear, "Oh, you're a franchise." Like, like somehow that's less than a regular small business. Like we're the same thing. Like I'm still a small business. I'm still a single owner. So I feel like there's a little bit of a disconnect between what people think a franchise is. That I'm some big corporation and I've spent like $10 million or whatever to be a McDonald's, which is not the case at all. So, um, I feel like that outside perception is like that. I don't for people who want to open a franchise, what's one thing that they misinterpret that they're on their own maybe or how much they'll be on their own, I think is probably I had no idea the level of support I would get. I was pleasantly surprised that they provide me with social posts. Like I still make my own for local, but they give me a whole bunch of social posts for the month. So like November and December when I wasn't doing anything, I didn't have to worry about it because they were posting for me just generic Frio's content, like videos of popsicles being made or whatever. So that was a huge surprise. I was like, oh great, no less pay. Um,
That's
so
awesome.
I think the level of support you get is probably underestimated.
Yeah, that's really good advice too. I mean, especially the first comment about, "Oh, you're a franchise," and it's like you get dinged, and again, before I started getting into this franchise world, not that I thought the same thing, but I think I had some kinda healthy skepticism. The more I've gotten into it, it's like, these are very much a conglomerate of small business owners that are kind of a co-oping together. They're sharing practices and tips, but 95+% of it is an individual, a family in your community that decided to take a risk and bet on themselves and go, operate this thing. And I wish the rest of society or like the business world understood that. And I think more and more people are starting to get
Hmm.
that, but it does come with you having to kind of explain it and say, hey, yes,
Yeah.
while there is a brand and I have support, it's me still driving 95+% of this. And I would love your support and help in what I'm trying to build and get off the ground for my family.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, for others, again, evaluating franchises today, is there anything that they should pay attention to beyond just revenue potential? Let's say it's your husband coming in. He's like, the numbers, the numbers, numbers. How much am I going to make? What would you stop him in his tracks and say, hey, that's important, but you also need to consider X?
I mean, I think you should like what you're selling. I mean, I think you being the your biggest fan is important. So like I said, if I don't like a flavor, there's one exception, but if I don't like a flavor, I generally don't put it on the truck because I don't want people to ask me about it. My exception is we have a pickle pop and it is not anything I ever wanna eat ever. My daughter loves it. I don't want anything to do with it. But it's definitely it's definitely one of those pops that if you like it, you like it. I mean, it's a pickle on a it's gross. I do keep that one on the truck. I know it's disgusting. That's the only exception, but if there's like a an ice creamy flavor that I don't like, I don't because I'm just not gonna wanna put it out there and put my name behind it or have somebody ask me how it is. So if you're selling cleaning products, are you using those cleaning products? Do you like those cleaning products? I think that's really important is to know the product and know, are you gonna put your name behind this? So 100%, yes, you would recommend this to your best friend,
Yep.
or are you secretly using Clorox, you know?
Yep. I like that. That's a really good piece of advice. You got to believe in what you're selling. And then the last question in this section I had for you is, I think a lot of people go into franchise and they have some definition of what success looks like, or they have this thing that they're envisioning. Has that definition of success for you guys changed, now versus what it was when you first started?
I don't think so. I mean, we just wanted my goals have definitely changed. I mean, we just wanted originally like a small side hustle. Yeah, yes, we want to make money, of course. I would love help with 3 kids in college. But it was more about like, okay, let's do this. Let's make some money. Let's teach our kids about business. And let's have fun. It's an adventure that we're going on together. And I still think all of that applies, but I'm more invested in growing it more than I probably was to begin with. It's definitely taken up more of my time than I originally expected it to, and I'm okay with that. Like, I'm investing the time to do more, to help it grow. So success for us is still like, okay, yes, making back our initial investment and then making more money, but also, are we having fun and are we teaching our kids something and being role models for our children?
Yep. Yep. That's amazing. The last couple like quick hitter questions I have before I let you go, and these are you kind of shorter tactical questions, but is there one habit that consistently shows up in the most, satisfied or most successful Frios owners?
I would say you have to be adaptable. I would say adaptability, because there's always something coming at you and changing things up. And I think, whether it's weather or, um, you know, uh,
A freezer breaking
new,
down.
a freezer breaking down or a new competitor, there's constantly new competitors coming out. Um, so I think adaptability and being able to and I think that's true also. Clients want you to be adaptable. Oh shoot, we have to move our event inside. We can't have you. Oh, well, you know what? We have a cart. I can come inside with my cart and still serve all of your guests. Oh my God, really? That's a lifesaver. Now I don't have to find
Mhm.
somebody. So just being able to be adaptable and open to change and open to new experiences, I think.
Yep. Yeah, I think adaptability, and whether that's Frios or another brand, you're gonna face adversity, and you gotta be ready to pivot on a dime and seize the moment or adjust if a
Yep.
challenge comes up. What about a common mistake new franchisees make that you think is totally avoidable?
This is more Frios. I don't know how it translates to others, but I was just telling a new franchisee this. Don't buy one box of every flavor just so you can try them. Like you get FOMO. You really do. You start, oh, I want to try that flavor, and that's not going to be around for a few more months. Like it's this month, and then maybe we won't have it back for a few months. I should buy it right now. So they buy one here and one here and one here, and then you have a freezer full of one case of like 30 different flavors. And then all of a sudden you're doing an event and you really need blue raspberry because that's what all the little kids want, and you don't have any room in your freezer. Um, so don't get FOMO. You'll get around to getting all the flavors. Just be more measured and a little more discerning in your ordering at first. Don't spend all of your money all up front trying to buy one of everything. Figure out what you need to get started and then slowly start adding new flavors or products or whatever.
Okay, that's good advice. I could see where it'd be tempting to just like collect them all and want to try them. And then the last question, what's the top one or two best-selling flavors? And then what's the top one or two of, Tamar's favorites?
Best selling is super boring in my opinion, and it's blue raspberry and it is cookies and cream. So that's a fruity and a creamy. We have two categories, fruity and creamy. Both of those are the top selling. Even if I was just to say not separate them into fruity and creamy, those are the two top selling. And it's kind of funny how it does break up 50-50. Like half the people like the creamy, half the people like the fruity.
Interesting.
Um, those are boring. Like, why would you have that? And you have all these other choices. Um, but my top flavors, s'mores is amazing. And it's frozen, but the marshmallows in it are so soft, and it doesn't make sense to me how the marshmallows can stay soft. And it's just so good. So s'mores is my favorite. And then we just got a special edition flavor that I got it 2 weeks ago, and we got it on Thursday. And by Sunday, I had had one every single day, which is pretty rare. I actually only eat pops like once a week or once every other week. At this point, I don't eat them very frequently. But it was raspberry peach thyme, and it is so good. And it's like fresh, real peaches, real raspberries, and it's all you could tell like this is really good. So that one is my new favorite fruity, I think. But that's a special edition. So if I had to pick another one, I'd probably pick strawberry mango, which is classic and just always, always yummy.
The s'more one sounds awesome. Cliff, one of the founders of Frio, said he was gonna send me some pops, so hopefully I get some of these flavors in the in the mail. But I'm excited to try it. I've heard so many good things about the brand, the product from so many different people, but I'm like you, it's like, I gotta try it. I need to, like, get my hands on it and
Yeah, I mean, the product sells itself. That's the great part. I don't have to if I wanna be somewhere, I just go take them free popsicles. Because once they try them, they're like, "Oh my god, these are so good." I'm like, "I know." So, it really they sell themselves.
no, that's awesome. I mean, the best products are the ones that do that. You shouldn't have to sell it or convince anyone to do anything. It should stand alone on its own, and it sounds like Frios has done a phenomenal job doing that. Tamara, I really appreciate you taking the time, sharing your journey, the what's worked out really well, what's surprised you, what you've learned, all of the things, for those exploring the same path themselves. If there was a place that people could connect with you, should I say like LinkedIn, Instagram? Should they check out Frios? Where do we want to send people right now?
Probably, uh, probably frios.com, or I just opened my new territory, so I'm in the middle of getting everything else set up, but, for Instagram would be great too, Frios St. Croix or Frios St. Paul.
Oh,
Both of those, they could reach me that way, and I have a link tree there with all the links to everything, so they could connect with me. But, yeah.
awesome. So from a Minnesota people, if you're listening, go check it out. You can order them, I think, as well online. So go check it out. And again, thanks again, Tamara, for sharing your wisdom and your time with us.
Absolutely, thank you so much.